Well, fast and my, it's just after midday, Monday on Jadain, it is today, Jadain, Thursday, and Quegu Le Jeg Tajak Ari, the 15th day of the beginning of spring, or February as it's called. And this is Manx Radio's Mannin Line. Are you still feeling that wave of love that we had yesterday? Well, we'll find out as the show progresses. There's a few texts that if I get a chance to get back to, I'll read out. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a risky show today because I have forgot my glasses, but I can just about make out what some of the texts were saying. And I think on line 1, I think we have Malcolm. Malcolm, are you there?
Hi, good morning.
Good on him.
Good morning, Phil. It's Malcolm here from around.
Well, how are you doing?
I am fair to Middleton. How are you?
Well, apart from forgetting me glasses, not too bad. You know, we'll bear.
You can get someone else to read it out for you, can't you?
Well, one thing I would ask is anyone texting in, can you text in big letters just so I can see?
That's a good. In the bold letters, aye.
Aye. So, how can we help you?
Phil, I'm sick of people talking about the Manxman. You know, she's a fine vessel. People need to take her as she is. You know. She's a brand new vessel. She's just getting used to the Manx waters, and I think she's doing a fantastic job. Right.
Okay. Obviously there have been well publicised tales of the Manxman not sailing in weathers that perhaps the Ben McCree would have sailed in. Is that fair?
Well, yes. I mean, it's a good assessment, but, you know, she's brand new to the waters and these things happen, you know. It's a learning curve, isn't it? But I think she's a fantastic vessel.
Yep. Okay.
I love her. I love her.
So you've been honest, presumably?
Well, no, not yet, no. Just seen her in the harbour there.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm off on her on Wednesday, but all I get is glowing reports from the back of her. So, yes, I'm looking forward to going on her, aye.
Oh, that sounds good.
Aye.
Well,
have you been on a Phil? What about
no,
I haven't.
I haven't. I mean, I missed out on the press Luke round, and also Annie, my wife, is not awful keen on sailing. It's fair to say.
Oh,
we have.
She can't have a Manx sea legs, then, no.
She's obviously built to stay on the island. So, yeah. If we are ever leaving the island from time to time, we tend to go on the boat. On the plane, I should say.
On the plane. Oh, yeah. Don't even get me started on that bloody airport. Jesus. We'll leave it there anyway, Phil.
Okay.
Have a fantastic day.
Well,
stay in touch with yourself.
That's very positive. Thanks very much for
Cheers,
that.
Mate. Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye. So that was Malcolm. That's a cheery start, if not a little colourful language. Right, so we have in a... first of all, this morning there was a report on the breakfast show with Beth and... I think it was Beth and Ben. And they were talking about a bus station for Douglas. And there were several texts in, one of which I think summarised the general thrust. It's ill thought out madness. We've spent all those millions in on the promenade, yet no bus station. There's plenty of areas between Jubilee Clock, Bottleneck Car Park. The opportunity was lost, and solutions will be millions of pounds more to sort. Crazy government. So this is one of the texts, at least, that came in. I do remember one of my brief spells in the Department of Infrastructure. We were looking at possibly setting up a series of, or the main sort of area for the buses. It wasn't actually going to be a bus station, but we were looking at just down from, what's the name of it? Victoria, is it Victoria Street, isn't it, in Douglas? Just around that area, which seemed closer to shops and closer to the centre of town. Seemed like a better spot generally to have the buses, the main sort of stop. And of course, there's cafes all around there that people could sit in if they wanted to wait for their bus in a more comfortable surrounding. But for whatever reason, that was shelved. But I don't know, anyone who wants to talk about buses, we'd be delighted to hear from you. One of the texts that we got in was just joining in on some government love. This was yesterday, with a big lovey-dovey shout-out for the Connect Villages minibus team in Ramsey, who provide an excellent local bus service to us folk in the north. And that was from Sandygate Steve. So, yes, that's a generally pleasant sort of an email there, or text perhaps. I can't remember which it was now, but also favourite things about the Isle of Man are heritage railways, especially Douglas Bay horse trams. Let's go all the way. Marine Drive, the view alone is spectacular, and going into spring when everything comes into bloom, the birds begin nesting, and the marine life, dolphins, minke whales can be seen along the coastline. The view at the Sound anytime, but especially on a summer's day. How lucky we are, and it's all on our doorstep. And that came in from Carol. There's a few texts in today as well. Let's see what's the first one is. Don't the government realise that even if we allow these giant windmills to be erected, there's no way that they cannot get the equipment that's big enough, like the giant cranes, to their designated place without destroying the whole infrastructure to carry the windmills up to those narrow roads. It would be impossible. We are talking absolutely massive blades, plus the towers, at least 150 feet long. And MHK mentioned on the show that they were going to beachland them. It's ludicrous, Phil. It just won't work. It's just a big con for the taxpayers. God help us. And that's from Manx Will. And then here's another one. Oh, this is very kind. I love your accent. So good to hear a proper Manx accent. You're a fantastic ambassador for the Manx language. Well, that's very kind. And I don't recognise the text number, so possibly not one of my relatives. Can you play a request for Julian called Windmills of My Mind? Well, we could do. I'm not sure whether I have the ability or the technology. And in any case, actually, we're not supposed to be listening to music today. On this show, at least, we're supposed to be listening to you, your voices, your thoughts. So please lash them in. New bus station C Terminal A. Was that text from an MHK? Sounds like another chance to squander millions on another gold-plated scheme to help a certain secret society. And that's from Fran. I wonder which secret society she means. And then I think Malcolm from Around was taking the Michael. Oh, right. Well, there we are. Well, Michael, if you listen... Oh, Malcolm. Oh, gosh, I'm getting very confused with all the M's and the lack of glasses. Malcolm, if you listen, were you taking the Michael? I don't think so. Howard is on line 1, and he wants to talk about buses.
Hi, Phil. I almost called you Andy there for a minute.
Well, any old name will do. Thingy will do.
We always say, call me anything but late for dinner. I don't know if you can remember, but many years ago, the canopy that was at the airport used to protrude out further than what it does. And to get the double-deckers in there comfortably, if my mind serves me right, I think they shortened the length of that canopy. They either took it down and put a new one up, or just shortened the ends of the canopy section coming out from the main building. Now, is this what is in the minds of the powers to be, the DOI? Because they're determined one way or another to demolish or get rid of the sea terminal itself, and maybe put that building they were going to put out at Laxey, put that down there for people. But they seem to be determined to do away with some form of sea terminal and to start chopping and changing down there at the sea terminal. And besides, I know it seems a strange thing, but to a lot of people it's going to be a long, inconvenient walk in bad weather from the shopping centre down to the sea terminal, where it's not the most comfortable of places. And besides, it's only open till 6 o'clock at night. But people of my age will remember where the bus terminal used to be in the park down there, where the shelters are now. And this is a thing that we should always remember. Be careful what you wish for when they knocked it down, because that was nicknamed Bruff's Blunder. And that was after one of the senior members of the Douglas Town Council who designed it. And it served for many, many years as an airport terminal and a bus terminal. And then they decided to get rid of it. So the same thing should apply to the sea terminal. If they're going to change it, be careful what you wish for. And that will be an unsuccessful place to put a bus terminal. The buses used to go in, but only just turn round. And as I say, I don't know how far the canopies extend out on that, whether they are a danger in a sense to double-deckers coming round that way. Looking at the number of buses that got dents in today, and that's on ground level.
Yeah, certainly. I remember when I was infrastructure minister, this was looked at, and there was some issue in relation to the canopies and particularly the double-decker buses. Maybe a new solution has been found, and we're all going to be delighted with it. Who knows?
What, down at the sea? I don't think it will be successful. It'll be another one of these, we thought we'd do it, but it wasn't right after we spent about $3 million doing something. I don't know what the lease is on the car park, the Lord Street car park, but obviously whoever has it now has a long-term lease, but whatever was going to go on it, Travel Lodge, cinemas and the bus station, so there must be part of that park down there that is suitable for a bus station. So why can't they be more progressive and put something there that's at a convenient space and allow the people to walk through the street and utilise all the shops right through to the end to Lord Street.
And what do you think about the idea of Victoria Street possibly being used as the main place?
It's too narrow.
Too narrow? Okay.
Yeah. Well, you only have to look at where they're stopping outside the Conister Bank. There's 2, maybe 3 parks there. They would have to dispense with car parking on the opposite side to make life convenient, because you would have deckers going down. Well, you'd have buses going down while there's still 2 or 3 parked there. They'd be wanting to get in and out. Victoria Street, it's just not suitable for buses, and they're getting wider by the day. They're over 8 foot now, 8'2", I think it is. So you're going to have 20 foot needed for 2 buses to go down through there. So you're not going to get parking. You're going to lose considerable amount, which is going to be detrimental to the shopping at the Duke Street, Marks and Spencer's end of the town.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Howard. We've got another caller, looks like they're about available to us. Pete, very helpfully, has texted in to say, have you checked the top of your head for your glasses? Yeah, well, I sadly I have, and they're not there. And then another one here, Fastamai, please can we be reminded how much the Lord Street site was sold to Kane Limited for, and why can't it be reclaimed into government ownership due to failure of the developer to deliver a completed project? And that's from Andy. I hadn't realised it had been sold, gosh. But I'm sure someone listening may know the answer to that question, and certainly we'd be keen to hear from whoever might know the answer. I'll come to Wilf now, who is sifting through some rather unpleasant stuff. Wilf.
Hello, get yourself near to the microphone. You're a bit faint.
Am I a bit faint? I'll turn myself up a bit. How's that? Yeah.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah.
Aye.
Just a short one. I was just looking at the Examiner here, and see this article about all the sewerage getting washed on Peel Beach, which now the Peel people have always been proud of the beach, and they've always kept it clean, and they do a wonderful job. And then in the same article is we're promised, or they are promised, a new sewerage works. But the only trouble is, with all these sewerage works that they're doing round the island, or promised that they're doing, they do not take out the chemicals.
Right.
They only take out the solids, and that instead of the government spending millions on bills and the Green Party and electric cars and all that, they want to get their sewage sorted out. That's the first thing. That's far more greener to do that and stop poisoning the sea. We're talking about another 1,500 people. There's another 1,500 toilets.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's just absolutely ridiculous. We're just wherever we go around the Isle of Man, we're pouring raw sewage into the sea, and it needs to stop.
And the other thing that we're pouring into the sea is microplastics from things like washing machines and even things like toothpaste and all this sort of stuff. There's these tiny little particles which then get absorbed by plankton, which then get ate by fish, and when they
and then we eat the fish.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I mean, getting the chemicals out of the effluent would be quite a task, wouldn't it?
No. The task is it's known technology because they do it. They do it across.
Right.
Several cities across are doing it because you've only got to get. Well, I don't drink, but if you look for it at a tin of pop or a tin of beer, wherever it's been produced, it could be recycled water. And recycled water is chemicals taken out.
Right. Okay.
Otherwise, you just can't drink it.
Yeah.
But we are just still pouring chemicals. Everybody puts poison down the toilet. Everybody, including me. So, it's not good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully the people in Peel this time round will all get behind their sewage treatment works. There were two previous attempts, I think, which failed, and maybe on this occasion, third time. Oh gosh, I nearly said something I shouldn't have. Then third time lucky, I meant to say.
The thing is, Peel is getting bigger and bigger all the time.
Yeah.
So that's more sewage. So
Yeah. Good. Oh well, thanks for that, Wilf.
All right.
Cheers. And we've had another text in which says, just a quick one re the state of Douglas Quay. Many of the pavias are broken or loose and little grout left. Between that and dog muck, it's not very welcoming. Our island is really starting to look tired under this administration. So there's a view, and that's from texter ending 143. What else have we got here? Graham Fox Hume writes in, further to yesterday's programme, here's something to celebrate. Our island is going to be covered with bird-killing, no-go area creating, backup needing wind farms. Whoopee. And that's from Graham Fox Hume. Possibly a little bit cynical there, Graham, but it's a view. And then David H. Case carrying foot passengers from the boat would like buses as near as possible. Isn't Victoria Street a bit too far away for them? Well, yes, but just because the bus stops, the main bus stop would have been there, or could have been there, doesn't stop the buses from going a little bit closer to the sea terminal on their journey to or from Victoria Street. So that's David H. Some other texts that came in during yesterday's programme. One, I really like this, so we must get this one read out. Here's a Manx joke for you. How do you balance a Manxman? put a chip on his other shoulder. I'm not quite sure who that might be referring to, but yes, I like that. And then somebody agrees that Stu Peters was the voice of the people and voice of reason. There was another talking about the Countryside programme, which Kerry Kermode was playing an interview with Ned Kenyock, who has a book to write, but is there a ghost writer who can do it in dialect? And that's from Andy. Well, I don't know. Any ghost writers listening in? We'd love to hear from you. Maybe that should have been on Hop Janae. But right, what else have we got here? We've got... actually, we've probably got time to listen to some of these. Men's Radio. Well, we have a little bit of sort of breaking news. Dave Moore, you're joining me live in the studio.
Yes.
What's been happening down in Castletown?
Well, we know today that Little Tesco, it's their first day trading, having taken over from the ShopRite store there. Now, there's a bit of a rumour going online that the store caught fire this morning. From what we understand, though, that is not the case. The fire alarm did go off, as we understand. Supposedly, there was smoke which... If you look at the pictures online, you think, oh, that's a fire. But supposedly, and this is unofficially, but we have it on very good understanding from those who were there, that were workmen in the building. They set some dust off. The dust got into the system, and that's what set off the alarm this morning. And from what we understand, everything at Little Tesco is now back to normal, and they're trading as usual. So the story that's going around is that Little Tesco was on fire. It wasn't on fire, from what we understand. As I say, all unofficial, but we have it on, as I say, the very good understanding that... it was just dust from the workmen in the building setting off the alarm. The alarm went off, and the alarms was turned off again, and everyone left, and everything's back to normal. And great to hear that Little ShopRite has now been rechristened Little Tesco. I don't know if that's official.
Well, it is now.
Is it?
It's on the wireless, boy.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, marvellous. Thanks for letting us know.
There'll be more on these things at the news at 1.
Excellent. Okay. Cheers. Thanks, Dave. Right. Exciting developments down in Castletown, my goodness. And then, where are we now? Oh, yes, we'll go on to Ken, who is on line 1, I think. So, Ken.
Hello, sorry about the crackling at my end.
Okay.
You've got to remember, it's only a temporary bus station at the sea terminal, because if and ever you ever redevelop the main site, it's only a temporary move, but I just wonder where they're going to send all the 200 cars that park in that unofficial car park. Close, you can't park in Victoria Street, and the sea terminal you won't be able to park. The only thing that would stay at Victoria Street temporary would be the taxi rank, and you'd have got to move. But where all the cars are going to go is nobody's business.
Well, certainly when it's... Well, I don't know what the latest iteration of the planned development is, but certainly at one point there were plans to have car parks both on the old Steam Packet site as well as on the Lord Street site. But you do seem to be having trouble with your line there, don't you?
That's it, yes. It's only a temporary move, hopefully. Yeah. But you know how things temporary become permanent. That's the worry. Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks for that.
Cheers.
And what else have we got here? There's various texts been coming in. Let's see now. This one here. Yes. Case carrying foot. No, I did. Did I do? Yeah, I did the case carrying foot passengers. So. Phil, and this person has very helpfully done this in capital letters, in big, bold capital letters, so I can see it without my glasses. Which do you think will get to the sea terminal first, the buses or the horse trams? Well, there is a question, and I wouldn't like to put money on either, if I'm brutally honest. What else have we got here now? How do I move that up there? Yeah, there we are. And... Trombone and Bray Hill need queue by service paying top rates. Need queue by, I'm not quite sure. Well, that's what it says. Queue by service paying top rates and have to walk up to top of Woodburn Road to catch bus. Not good for the elderly. Yes, and I'm presuming that Spell Checker has very helpfully translated Tremode into trombone there. Maybe not. What's good on the Isle of Man? The help and support from local businesses in construction in helping us build Ballalockie DIY SOS Isle of Man style. Check out Facebook Ballalockie. Oh gosh, that might have been a bit of free advertising there. Bus station. Why not down the side of the sea terminal in the car park? Yeah, that's a possible solution. Although it's quite tight to actually turn a bus, you'd have to sort of do a kind of a 3-point turn at the end. Right, what else have we got here now? A quick question. Given Ørsted confirmed at Richard Selman's presentation to ornithologists that they will supply the MUA with 100 megawatts of offshore energy, do we need to litter our island with turbines too? Well, that's an interesting question, and part of the answer to that interesting question is that the wildlife trusts and various other bodies surrounding the Irish Sea have issued a warning that we need to be careful that we don't end up squeezing out the wildlife that lives in the sea by all these developments that are going on. And I'm hoping to pull together a programme either for Perspective or Agenda about that in the coming days. And then did I hear Waterworld? Yes, it's been drained to neighbouring private property and ditched off to flood others without consent. And that's it says actor John R. Davis. I don't know, was that him texting or anyway? And then Jones is but one of the victims. Oh, that Jones. Presumably that's the end of that. Yeah, sorry, I'm John Rhys Davis Jones is but one of the victims. God help the forests and wildlife. It's bad, and that's from C. And I am going to chase that up with the Department of Environment, Food and Agriculture now that I've got a bit more of the message. The best way for chemicals is not to use them in the first place. Well, that's true. They are not needed, as those of us on septic tanks have managed without them, as they must not be used for the tank to work and never need emptying. And that's from David. I was assuming that when Wilf was on, he was referring to chemicals that are things like medicines and things that we all take, but maybe not. Anyway, have we had some adverts? Oh yes, we did have some adverts. We'll have some more, and then we'll go to John, who is waiting for us.
When the Mannin Line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631.
And also, when the Mannin Line is on air, call 66 13 68, because we'd love to hear from you. And that's exactly what John has done. And John is on line one. Hopefully you're there, John.
I am indeed. How are you doing, Phil?
Good.
Going back to yesterday, people saying what is good about the island. Well, unfortunately, I have to disagree with Bonzo wholeheartedly. I think it's the sunrise, not the sunset.
Right.
It's bringing in a new day.
Yeah.
The sunset, end of the day, gets dark. Yeah, same thing. But anyway, that's just one of the points. I don't know if you've seen, but the Advertising Standards Agency has upheld 2 complaints, amongst others, against MG and BMW about false advertising of electric vehicles, claiming that the vehicles are zero emissions. What the Advertising Standards Agency are saying, no, you can't just make an advert that say it's zero emissions. You've also got to account for the emissions in producing the vehicle. The Telegraph has done an article on it, and they quote the International Energy Agency that manufacturing an electric vehicle uses 8 tons of CO2, whereas a diesel and petrol is only 6 tons. But that's a bit shocking, don't you think?
Yeah.
Admittedly, they also then go on to say, well, the lifetime emissions of an electric vehicle are 11.7 tons, whereas for a petrol or diesel is 35.9 tons, but they don't specify what engine is used. Now, if we go back to the wind turbines, surely somebody somewhere should be able to calculate how much carbon is produced in the construction of wind turbines. Well, there is. It's the Aberdeen University in Scotland. They've produced a calculator where you can put in the details of the foundations, the type of turbines, the heights, and all of those kind of things, and come out with a carbon figure. Unfortunately, we can't use that calculator here because the MUA hasn't given us any specific details of the construction. Nevertheless, in Scotland, every planning application for wind turbines has to include this calculation. And some of them have been rejected because the carbon created in the building of the wind farms is actually more than the wind turbines would actually save. My question is the government here or MUA actually going to do this?
Well, it's a very interesting question, and certainly one for which, if I get the chance, I'll press government ministers or chair of the MUA to give us some answers in relation to that. I mean, the whole question about creating a carbon, a zero carbon or low carbon economy, it all depends on where you measure the carbon, doesn't it?
Well, exactly, yes. Just like the Advertising Standards Agency have now said, you have to include all the carbon. So if we're going to actually work out what's best, we need to know all the information. Now, Bonzo, unfortunately, again, he keeps saying, the electricity is going to be cheaper, electricity is going to be cheaper. Another chap called up the other week saying, well, he wants to know what the cost of electricity is, financially, not in terms of carbon. Now, if you go to the MUA website, they actually say, yes, it's going to be cheaper, but they're not including the cost that has to be paid back, financial cost, in constructing these things. So, to me, it seems, Bonzo keeps saying misinformation, but if you only give half of the picture, is that not misinformation? I believe it to be misinformation.
Well, perhaps it's also a way in which politics works. Each side gives their best shot at an argument, and then the public is left to try and work out for themselves which of the two sides, because it usually is two sides. It's very rare that you get 3 or 4 sides in an argument. There's usually 2.
Well, I don't know, if you bring the wives in, you probably get 6 sides to an argument.
Sorry, what did you say?
If you bring the wives in, you get 6 sides to an argument.
Yeah, well, perhaps. Anyway, thanks for that, John. We've got several callers waiting for us now, so perhaps if we go next to Tommy, and I believe that Tommy wants to talk about tidal power and other things. Tommy?
Hey, Phil, how you doing, mate?
Hi, good.
Good to hear you again, mate.
Yeah.
Good old Manxie like myself.
Hi. So how could we help you?
Well, I went on before, it was a couple of years ago now. I got investigated by Michael George for then suggest we should use Marine Drive as a main outlet for the cables. It's an ideal situation there. All you got to do is go across the road and up the house, down the other side, over to the power station, and there's all the electricity for nothing there, Phil. Well, after building, obviously,
Yeah.
But, why can't we do that?
Well,
tidal power.
Fascinating question. I mean, in terms of tidal power, to be fair, a lot of people think that there's a great potential at some point, but most of the areas that are using tidal power have particularly strong tidal races, usually going through fairly narrow channels. So obviously the sound is often mentioned, but even, the biggest problem with the sound is it's actually a little bit too extreme down there, certainly in terms of the technology that is being mentioned. There had been an attempt to look at some tidal power, both off Langness and off the Point of Ayre, but that was certainly during my time anyway. I don't know whether anything further has come of either of those, but I know there were several issues that weren't really quite resolved. I think possibly the people doing the work were more interested in selling a prospect than they were in actually carrying it out themselves. But yeah, tidal power. It seems like the least visible of the options available. And
well, the Irish did it there, so didn't they were feeding up there. Was the River Day up to Loch Day and back again. They were taking advantage of the high tide and low tide, and they've been using that for years. I think it's only just slightly it's gone out of service.
Yeah,
they got the best part of 20 years out of it there, Phil.
Yeah, that was. I remember reading a bit about that. It was quite heavily subsidised, and because of the narrowness of the outlet, it made it particularly suitable. But yeah, it's a good idea. Anyway, sadly, your line is a bit Dalek-y on us, so possibly, unless there's anything else burning that you want to.
Oh no, is it all right now, Phil? Is it?
A little bit sharp sounding.
Am I? Oh, I've never been called sharp in my life, Phil. Blimey, mate. Listen, I'll sign off now, Phil. All right, mate.
Okay, cheers. Thanks then, Tommy. And we've got a comeback kid here. There's doing a bit of a Frank Sinatra on me. Wilf is back. Well, no, he's not. I'll have to click that button first. There we go. Wilf, how can we help you?
Yes. All it was, there's somebody just been on saying about septic tanks.
Yeah.
And we can't put chemicals in septic tanks. Well, we know that. That's fair enough. There's nothing wrong with a septic tank. That's the proper way to go. But people on the sewer can't do that, obviously. And what I was talking about, and it wasn't so much putting chemicals, it wasn't so much putting medicines down the toilet. It was putting the stuff that makes smell nice and kills all known germs.
Yeah.
Mr. Harpic and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh well, that's good to know. And yeah, that is undoubtedly a cause of problems. But I know that things like various medicines have caused some significant problems as well in terms of leaking out into the environment. So yeah. So Wilf is gone. So what else have we got that's been interesting you? And I should say 66 13 68 is the number, and it would be great to hear from as many people as possible in the remaining. What have we got? About 7 minutes. So, one of our texters tells me 24 MHKs, 11 MLCs, 100 top civil servants, and they have failed miserably to run 275 square miles of land, the most over-governed piece of land on the place of the planet that's from Richard. And that's Richard's view, and maybe it's a view you share. And if you do and you want to talk about it, 66 13 68 is the number. Beach Buddies is heading down to Langness. Langness is the venue for the weekend volunteer beach cleaning team event from 10:30 a.m. on Sunday, February the 18th. We are concentrating on the island's bird nesting areas for the next few weeks prior to the official start of the new nesting season. I wonder if the birds know that there's an official start, whether they all wait with big chunks of nesting materials in their beaks, waiting for the official start. And apologies for being slightly facetious there. The bird nesting season officially begins on April the 1st. New volunteers are always made very welcome. It's good fun. This is back to Beach Buddies again. A great family event and makes you feel good about the world, which it does. I've done a couple of goes with Beach Buddies myself, and it does make you feel good because it's someone else's mess, but it's great that you have the chance to tidy that mess up and hopefully get rid of some bits of the plastic, at least, which are causing so much harm to the the creatures that inhabit the sea and the coastline that surrounds it. Oh dear. This is a message from Donny. Getting a one-way ticket off this place. Oh gosh. And then is that this is a different one. Let's see, Mannin Line, North Quay paving slabs. The gaps are that wide that walking aids, sticks, crutches get stuck between the pavings. A trip for both. There's no check. I'm not quite sure about there's no check, but that was from Pete. And then the prom in Douglas should be used for parking during the whole winter. It's so hard to just park up and nip into town. Would be great for the traders too, and that's from Alan. Is there a legal obligation to pay property rates? Where has a property owner agreed to pay said rates? Is there a contract? Well, it's a tax, and it's part of the law of the land and the contract, I suppose, if we're to look at for any such thing, is the one that you have with your MHKs. The MHKs pass the law, and the law states that all properties on the Isle of Man, property owners, shall pay rates, and effectively rates is a tax on the value of your property, although it's fair to say that the whole rating system, which was primarily established based on rental values of I think it was the 1970s, it's got a little bit out of kilter now, because, of course, when it was done, properties out in the countryside were deemed to be worth very little rent because they were miles away from the main habitation centres and the places where you might go and buy things like loaves of bread and pints of milk and whatever. So that the values of rental properties in the countryside were quite low, and the values of rental properties in towns were quite high. So perhaps it is time that government looked at that, although last I heard from an MHK, well, it's way too difficult. There's far too much time been spent on this in the past, and people just don't seem able to agree. And then a message from Peter. Current EVs, electric vehicles, are in a carbon dioxide win after driving 16,000 miles compared to ICE, so that's something, combustion engine cars, I'm guessing. I don't know what the I stands for. So 16,000 miles, once you've done your 16,000, so possibly a year and a half, 2 years travelling about the Isle of Man. It's a carbon win, according to Pete. It's not just about CO2, also pollution at point of use, something city dwellers appreciate, which, of course, is the case if you're living near the Quarter Bridge with all the traffic going through. Having less emissions would probably be something that you'd welcome. I fear the tidal flow around the Isle of Man is too slow at 3 to 4 knots and the sea too shallow. You need 7 to 8 knots to be viable, and that's from John in Ballasalla, and that sort of ties in with what I had been told in the past. What else have we got? You have to agree that in the UK, one MP will have a constituency of about 300,000 residents. We have 23, well, actually we've got 24 MHKs, and they couldn't arrange a free night out in a pub. Well, there you are. It's a view. It's a view that the texter ending 615 has. You may have a different view. I don't know. And then Phil is writing in response to a previous message. Please, no more parking on the prom. Thanks again for the big capital letters. It's lack of glasses. I must remember, I'll put 2 pairs of glasses in my bag tonight when I get home. It's a lovely Victorian walkway, not a car park. We need less cars, not more. And that's from Phil, who may or may not have a connection to environmental groups on the island. And some WhatsApp messages in. How are we doing for time? Oh, gosh, only 30 seconds left. So last two messages then. Does anyone know when the Isle of Man is going to allow cannabis to be legalised? Well, I don't know. Maybe someone will know. I know there's been a report that Home Affairs has been looking into, and they're about to make some statements in Tynwald on that. And then final message, Faster Mike, can we be reminded how much... No, that's not. That was the first message. This is from Andy. Please, isn't Douglas still a borough, as it's not been handed the letters patent, nor has Tynwald passed an act to change its status? So is the Corpy misrepresenting its status? And that was from Andy. And thanks, Andy, for that message. Well, actually, we managed to get through all the texts today. I've still got a few lined up from previous shows that I didn't get round to reading out. But yeah, tomorrow, Mannin Line is back with me again. Sorry if you're getting fed up with the sound of my screechy voice. And who knows what we'll be talking about. Perhaps we might have a former MHK who's now retired. He might be joining us. He sort of indicated to me he might be giving us a call tomorrow, which would be his first time. But 1 to 3 from Christy D is coming up next.